Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
We made this.
Hello and welcome to We Are Starfleet, a Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds podcast on the We Made This podcast network. I'm your host, Ashley Thomas, in the captain's chair tonight, but I'm also joined by my number one, Mike Slamer. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hello, Ashley. Thank you for taking the lead on this. Thank you for allowing me to be a guest on the show. It's always fun to come on and talk Star Trek, as we all know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Always enjoy recording with you, buddy. So,
thank you.
Yeah. Well, today we continue our coverage of the second season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds by discussing episode 205, Charades, directed by Jordan Canning and written by Catherine Lynn and Henry Alonzo Myers. In this episode, a shuttle accident leads to Spock's Vulcan DNA being removed by aliens, making him fully human and completely unprepared to face T'Pring's family during an important ceremonial dinner. Our guest to discuss the episode is the host of Boldly Go, a Star Trek Strange New Worlds podcast, as well as 2 other Trek podcasts and a YouTube show. It's the brilliant and beautiful Brandi Jackola. Hello, Brandi.
Oh, stop. That's lovely of you to say. Hello, I'm so happy to be here.
Happy to have you on. I think the last time you and I got to record was about Lower Decks, or maybe Prodigy. I think it was Prodigy.
You're right. It was Prodigy.
Yeah. So it's been a minute. So
it has been a minute. Too long of a minute.
Yeah. So and Mike, we were just saying, Mike's never recorded with you at all before. So
It's a first. I feel so privileged that I finally get to chat and be a part of it. Because oftentimes, Brandi, what happens is I'm listening and I start talking to you as if you can hear me.
I love that because I do the same thing when I'm listening to podcasts by people that I care very much about. So that's very kind.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Very cool. I'm so happy to be talking Charades with you both. I think of the episodes I've seen thus far, this one is probably my favorite. And I think it kind of is a good mirror for episode 5 of the first season, Spock Amok, which was my favorite episode from the first season. So I think I know what I like in my Strange New Worlds is a little bit of comedy, a little bit of gentle romance, and just some hijinks or shenanigans. And we got a little bit of all of the above in this episode. So, Brandi, but first, let's talk general thoughts on Strange New Worlds Season 2 thus far. We've seen episodes 1 through 5. How are you feeling so far?
How am I feeling so far? So happy to have everybody back. I love this show. Well, let's be fair. There isn't a Star Trek show out there that I haven't loved. So, me saying that I love this show is kind of a given. But there's something special about it because Discovery brought Spock back to me, and I didn't think that was possible. I really didn't. I was just like, no, don't give me Spock again. I can't do this again. I can't be hurt again, please. And then, they gave me Ethan Peck. Thank you. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. In fact, I binged the first 6 episodes in 2 days. That's basically how it went. Because, secret, we have the screeners, so we knew ahead of time. We do, we have them. Yeah, and my husband, by extension, gets the benefit of that because, of course, he's also sworn to secrecy. And he was, the day that we got him, he's like, are we going to watch all 6 tonight? And I'm like, no, 3 tonight, 3 tomorrow.
My wife and I have been trying to space them out, do 1 a night. And it got to a point where it's just like, I just have to keep watching. I just have to keep watching.
That's the beauty of this show. And they're carrying that forward in season 2. It is just, you don't want to stop. You want to know what happens next.
Yeah, definitely agree. I watched episodes 1 through 5 in one night. I would have stayed up, but I was getting slightly drowsy in the 5th episode the first time I watched it. So, but watched episode 6 easily the next day. Yeah.
Good times.
Mike, how about you? What are your thoughts on season 2 so far?
This season is firing on all cylinders. Ashley, I can't tell you how much I've been enjoying it. I grew up on TOS watching it with my dad, and Kirk, Spock, McCoy, that is like my trifecta in Star Trek. And I love every series that has come along for different reasons. But Strange New Worlds is definitely, between the visuals, the sets, the iconography, the costuming, they're trying so hard to stay consistent with the overall look and feel, but still modernizing it and still bringing it to life and making it make sense in accordance with what we saw back in the 60s. Well, depending on your time frame, maybe you saw it in the 80s, I don't know. But the storylines have taken such a departure from the original series in terms of canon, but staying almost exactly in the same spirit and ethos of the original series. It's zany, it's wacky, there's time shenanigans happening, and, we're not slingshotting around the sun for a change, things are just kind of happening, but then we're touching into other parts of canon with, spoiler alert, the Department of Temporal Corrections. Maybe we edit that out. I don't know. That's up to you to decide. I love this season. It's going to piss off so many canon, diehard, purist people.
Yes! And I'm here for it.
I'm also here for it, Brandi. Bring it on.
Yeah!
I love this season. Almost every episode has been a 10 out of 10 for me, and that's so rare.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. So let's talk this episode. So Mike, I'm going to start with you, since you just said nearly every episode so far has been a 10 out of 10 for you. How would you rate season 2, episode 5, Charades, out of 10?
Sure. So out of 10, I have a few minor quibbles, if you will, with how the episode played out, but nothing detracted from my overall enjoyment and just pure joy of watching these characters on screen have fun with the situations they found themselves in. This was a solid 9 out of 10 for me.
Awesome. Brandi, how about you?
Oh, it's going to be 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that features Spock and Spock behaving out of character is going to be a 10 out of 10.
That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. For me, I think this is definitely 9.5 out of 10, maybe pushing towards 10. And the only reason it's not as much is that while I am not a big fan of being a nitpicky canon police kind of person, I do have some questions about how this is gonna work. And I think Craig, or one of our hosts, Craig, has some good insight. He thinks this might end up being a soft reboot for TOS. And if that's the case, then I'm not mad about it. I think that's a great idea. Now, do I think TOS necessarily needs to be rebooted? Not necessarily. If they do, I'm not going to be real mad about it, but we'll see where they go with all of this. So, but anyway, for me, 9.5 out of 10, I think is how I'm gonna rate it. So, Brandi, just a simple general overview. I'm gonna start with you tonight. What worked for you in this episode, since it's a 10 out of 10?
Pretty much everything.
Can you give us just a few bullet points?
Yes. Okay. So I love all of Ethan Peck's facial expressions as a Vulcan, but as a human, that is ratcheted up to 11, and it is just pure joy with every single move he makes in this entire episode. Just every little micro expression, every macro expression, just him discovering bacon, which has got to be an issue on his digestive system because Vulcans are vegetarians, last I checked.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, he's going to be feeling that in about 3 or 4 hours. But yeah, just that was probably the highlight, is just watching him and also watching Jess Bush and how...
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
She's like the serious one in this episode, which is a real departure. So
right.
Spock is the one who's off the rails, and Chapel is like, I gotta put him back. And I really appreciated that, though he responded to her in a more sensitive way as a human, she didn't want that Spock. She wants the Spock that she knows and loves, and she doesn't want him to remain human. That's not who he is.
Very cool, very cool. Mike, how about you? Some general overall thoughts on the episode. What worked for you?
90% of the episode worked great. I think Captain Pike doesn't really have a ton of screen time, but where he is in the episode, kind of playing the foil during the dinner scene and going through all the ritual and bringing up charades, it was hilarious. I was dying. You know, the look on his face is like, I have no idea how to get Lieutenant Spock out of this. I have no idea how I'm supposed to manage, you know, the intimate relationship of Vulcan emotion, you know, like that's really what this comes down to. And it gives us, the viewer, more world building of this universe. We know so much about Vulcans. We know so much about how they are emotionless and how they don't lie, but we also know that all those things aren't true. So this episode fills in a lot of those gaps with the story between the dinner and the ritual, and Spock, human Spock, kind of saying like, yes, you know, our emotions are so much stronger, we have to suppress them. But here he's experiencing his full human emotion, and it's anxiety, it's tension, and happy, sad, he's angry, and he's hungry all the time, which I thought was just hilarious. And there's another thing, and it was maybe it was a little bit more of a line of dialogue, but when he's in sickbay and Dr. Mbenga and Nurse Chapel are explaining to him, you know, you're experiencing all this, you know, these are the feelings of an adolescent human and you're going through them. And it reminded me, and it reminded the viewer, and so it will remind all of us that this is not the Spock that we know in TOS. This is not the Spock from the original films. This is nowhere even near Ambassador Spock, right? So from a canon perspective, my brain immediately switched to, oh yeah, this is the Cage Spock, where he's laughing and smiling. And, you know, he has Nurse Chapel on the brain. The women.
The women!
The women! Yeah, I agree with what y'all have said. The comedy in this really worked for me. Something I learned in an interview I did with Mike McMahon for fangirlish.com last year was that Mike was brought in to punch up some of the dialogue in Spock-a-Mock. And so I'm wondering if maybe Mike was brought in to punch up some of the more comedic dialogue in this. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. It was an uncredited last year in Spock-a-Mock, so maybe, just maybe he just ducked his head into the Strange New Worlds writer's room and said, hey, do this.
Well, we know that the writers' rooms talk to each other.
Oh, yeah.
So that's entirely possible.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But either way, we don't know that for sure. Don't quote me. That's not facts. That's me speculating. All that being said, I thought the comedy in this episode really worked. And it was well, I thought the lines of dialogue were good for the comedy. Ethan Peck's physical comedy was especially good. We kind of got to watch him go from like one level to another level to another level of like heightened emotion. I think in particular the three scenes we got where he's sitting around the table with Ortegas and Una and Uhura and La'an, and Ortegas is telling some kind of story or joke, and I just want to go like have a drink with her and hear all of her stories, because it seems like she gets up to shenanigans all the time. I just want to, be a part of that too. The first scene, he's just, kind of stoic and like observing. And then after he's had the accident, he kind of like chuckles a little bit. And then later you get a third cut of a different scene and he's just losing it and he's slapping the table and everybody's all like, whoa, that's weird. Spock's laughing.
It wasn't that funny, bro. Calm down.
But what I really liked about like Spock's lack of impulse control, as somebody who has ADHD and a little bit of trouble with impulse control, I felt seen in those scenes. So anyway, I really enjoyed that. I'm going to get into this in a little more detail later, but I felt like this was an episode where it's something you don't see a lot in science fiction, is that you got women getting to be women in this episode, with Chapel and her girls, Ortegas and Uhura. And hey, we're going to go out and we're going to walk with you. We're going to help you do this thing. And then like trying to get her to like fess up. It's true. Just out with it. Loved that. Love that. But anyway, those are the two biggest things that really, really worked for me, as well as getting some insight into Vulcan culture with this engagement ceremony, getting to bring back Mia Kirshner as Amanda Grayson. Great to see her back in Strange New Worlds. We'll get into more detail, but overall, those are the things that really worked for me. We don't like to be too negative, but, not everything's going to work for everyone. So, Brandi, I know you said this was 10 out of 10. Was there anything that was maybe like, meh, or maybe just didn't work for you at all about this episode?
No. It all worked.
Well, that was easy.
Fair. Very good. Okay. Mike, how about you, buddy?
I thought the final scene with the Kirkovians, where Christine Chapel is like trying to dance around the subject of her, having this big, emotional crush. She's in love with Spock. She's all over him. She can't get him out of her mind. I thought it was a little too on the nose, and I wish that she had just said, yes, I love him. And then the Kirkovians could have kind of explored the concept of human love and emotion and what that means in the greater context. It feels like it was a missed opportunity to go into that more specifically. Like, yeah, he's my friend, but I love him. But you said he's your friend. How can that be? And then you could, a teachable moment, if you will, that adults in relationships can love each other, they can be friends, and yes, there's also the romantic love too, which they also share. So that was really my only thing, because it kind of felt like they tied it up too neatly, and that was that story. We're going to put it away and we got to go end the episode now, which, to be fair, is a very Star Trek thing to do.
If I may, we have been shown a history of Chapel not admitting to being into anyone, to wanting to be in a relationship. She doesn't want any of that until Spock. So she's still set at that no, I'm not getting involved setting. And she's trying to hang on to that, but she's slipping. And so I understand your point, Mike, and I totally see how it would come across as that to you. But to me, it was just like, Chapel, you're fighting a losing battle, honey. You gotta let this go, okay? It's always, you don't want to be in a relationship until you find that one person with whom you want to be in a relationship. Just admit it. But she isn't there quite yet.
See, this is great, and this is why I'm happy to have the female perspective here on the podcast. So many times it's just been a lot of us guys talking, so it's great to pass the baton a little bit, because these are insights that I would never pick up on.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point of discussion, Mike, because I didn't read it that way. I definitely see how you got there, and sure, that would have definitely been interesting. That would have leaned more into the whole alien exploration sort of thing, which I know you're really into. I know you were a really big fan of Species 10C last season in Star Trek Discovery, and rightly so. The Kirkovians actually kind of gave me a little bit of Species 10C vibe because, while Species 10C was more octopusy in nature. This is an alien being that isn't a human with a different forehead or a different nose. So I thought that was really interesting. So while we're on the subject of the Kirkovians, let's talk about them a little bit. So Mike, why don't you start us off? Tell me your thoughts on the Kirkovians.
Yeah, I kind of interpreted them as being like a transcended kind of a race. We've seen that before in TOS. We've seen that before in TNG. It is completely on brand with Star Trek. So the energy anomaly suddenly appearing on this moon, in the Vulcan system, it read very much like, oh, this is an opportunity to explore a new feature of our system. Let's go investigate. And once we find out that they are energy beings, and we find out that there was a race on that moon previously, it all made perfect sense to me. I loved the blue. I loved the yellow, the fact that they named themselves after colors. I wonder if that was, a universal translator picking up on it and saying, we are going to apply these words to what they are trying to say, or if the Kirkovians chose those to kind of give you a sense of what their emotion might be. Because I don't know about you, Brandi or Ashley, but blue has an emotion tied to it, and yellow has an emotion tied to it. And in my personal opinion, if you're a little blue, you're kind of you're a little sad, you're a little down, you got the blues, right? If you're yellow, you might be scared, a little standoffish, you might be, a little anxious about what's going on. And both Chapel...
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
And Spock are experiencing those emotions. Chapel is feeling very blue. She's feeling sad, kind of lonely. She's got the blues, and then Spock is this fearful, anxious being. So it tracks blue and yellow. And I don't know if it was purposeful by the writers, but kudos.
That's really interesting. I hadn't quite made the connection there with the emotional association with those colors. That's a cool point. Brandi, what are your thoughts on the Kirkovians?
I had to study the episode pretty carefully just to find out the correct spelling.
Yeah, thank you for that. Good job.
I am happy to do it because I'm like, she's going to go scan for that. Oh, look, it's right there on the screen. Because I'm like, if they really named those after Kirk, I'm going to be really actually kind of disappointed. They were not more inventive. So yeah, it's another ascended race. It reminded me a little bit of Stargate. It reminded me a little bit of what the Krell were trying to do in Forbidden Planet, and the no need for bodily functions anymore. That they can just do anything with thought, except we don't really know for sure how the Kirkovians do what they do, but it's obviously something they've ascended from their mortal status, I guess is the best way to put it. Kind of like the ancients on Stargate. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Stargate Atlantis. It's been 20 years since I've seen those episodes, and I'm just, I'm on a binge right now.
Well, there's some Star Trek connection there. Wasn't Connor Trinneer on there?
Mm-hmm. Connor Trinneer was, Robert Picardo was, and also, there, just in season 1 alone, I've counted 7 episodes that have had a Star Trek reference or joke, and I'm only at about episode 11. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a lot of Star Trek references and jokes.
Awesome. I will eventually get through all of Stargate. I'm still in SG-1, haven't gotten to Atlantis yet, so.
There's so much SG-1.
Oh my gosh.
So much.
I know. And I'm having a blast with it. No complaints. It's a lot.
It's just a lot. Yeah, Stargate Atlantis is not as long. I think, if I remember correctly, it was 5 seasons. So, but that was back in the day when you still had to churn out like 22 to 26 episodes a season, which is insanity. Why?
Yep.
You got to make that syndication money. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You don't syndicate anything now, even with just 1 season.
I know, and it's kind of killed TV. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
How about that? Some of us still watch TV on the bunny ears, just FYI.
Oh, the bunny ears. That brings back some memories. Here, stand here and touch it right here so we can get a picture.
Right. Stand upside down on one hand, put some tinfoil on the...
Yep.
No,
hangers. We used hangers a lot.
Oh, yeah, that helps. Anyway. Getting back to the Kirkovians, I thought that's kind of interesting to have like a non-corporeal being. And it's interesting you all keep using the word ascended. My thought was these Kirkovians talk like a robot tech support.
Maybe that's the translator. I don't know.
maybe, but a complaint outside the response period is irregular. What did they say? Restitution or
remediation.
Remediation. Thank you. Remediation has been made, and that's the end of the story. They don't ask like nuanced questions about the things that Pike is trying to say when he contacts them originally. So yes, ascended to non-corporeal status, no need for bodily functions or bodies even. It's kind of like they left out the nuance aspect of that existence. I just thought that was interesting that they could be ascended and yet they sound like frustrating robot tech support.
Well, maybe they just haven't interacted with a corporeal being for so long that they have no idea what to do.
Maybe so. Yeah.
You ever turn on like your corporate brain and you go into full email speak when talking to someone you've never met? And it's like, hello, ! I hope this email finds you well. Please see attached.
Yeah.
It's like, we have no idea how to approach this. We're going to go stick with the facts.
I really hate doing that. Kind of stuff. I am much more shoot straight, like, hey, I'm interested in playing this job and I think I'm awesome. You should talk to me. That's about as professional and technical as I want to get there. So anyway, well, let's talk a little bit about Spock being human. And so, Brandi, I'm going to kick it over to you first. What are some highlights for you of Spock's humanity in this episode?
Well, first of all, before we get into that, I would like to say nice shout out to Enterprise with the nasal inhibitors, which T'Pol used in Enterprise. And I really appreciated that nod. Really, really appreciated that. It made me put my hand over my heart and go, thank you. Thank you for remembering. And so, yeah, the thing is, even before he's in this accident, he's exploring cooking when he can't smell anything. He's exploring cooking.
I mean, if you are a human, or I suppose humanoid type being, cooking is a part of your life, unless you just eat raw vegetables and fruit all the time. So
it also struck me as really odd. Yeah, when Pike's crushing up the basil, and I'm like, why would Spock care?
Maybe he's just trying to find his thing. He's
just trying to avoid the pretty blonde in sickbay.
Yeah, he's avoiding Chapel, that's for sure. So, yeah, it's I really so yeah, I appreciate the nasal inhibitors. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for remembering Enterprise. Thank you for remembering T'Pol, one of my other favorite Vulcans. But yeah, Spock as a human, just immediately after he realizes what's going on, he's like freaking out because he doesn't understand anything that is happening to him. He's so used to suppressing feelings because that's what he has to do in order to, not become a complete savage and destroy his home planet like the Vulcans almost did however many millennia ago. Thank you, Surak, for your teachings, I guess. It's like you kind of went to a little extreme on that, but hey, it saved your civilization, so you do you. But yeah. Just how he's just going through this gamut of emotions and the facial expressions right there starting where I'm just like, oh my word, he's a teenage boy. He's a teenage boy. And it also got me going down this rabbit hole of, do we really understand exactly what stages of adolescence happen in Vulcans and at what point in their lives? Because in Star Trek Discovery, of course, Michael calls Spock her little brother. And technically he's not physically that much younger than she is, but he might have been emotionally, developmentally somewhat younger than she is, but they were roughly the same age as far as physically. So that got me thinking, so at what point in Spock's life is his development? Is he technically a young adult? He's, he has the appearance of someone in his 30s, but that's a human reckoning of that. And so, yeah, I went down that rabbit hole for like a whole 10 minutes in that episode. Just watching going, is that why he's experiencing puberty now? That his emotions have been awakened? Because it isn't necessarily a puberty thing. If you have been suppressing your emotions for so long and you are suddenly human and you no longer have the ability to repress said emotions, they're all going to come at you at once and they're going to be rapid fire. You're going to be angry 1 minute, surprised, hungry all the time. It takes a lot of energy to feel all those emotions. So I really enjoyed that aspect and how he was just so all over the place, because that's what it would be like. That's absolutely what it would be like if you're suddenly just, oh, I have emotions. Oh no, I understand humor. How do I he has no training in this because his mother was sort of forced by Sarek to raise him in the Vulcan way, and so she never got to teach him about his human side, and she even laments that later in the episode. So it's for me, it's actually really fun and a little bit poignant and a little bit sad to watch him go through all of these things all at once, just right after this accident.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting how Spike, oh my gosh, what is my problem?
You're not the first, you won't be the last.
Yeah, exactly. How Spock is experiencing all of these emotions, and I'm wondering, yeah, maybe Spock is in his 30s or whatever, but he's not gotten to experience any of these kinds of emotions or lack of control or whatever, and so yeah, he's reacting to them like a teenage boy would. or in my case, somebody with ADHD, because, has the big emotions and the lack of impulse control, and those are two ADHD symptoms, at least that I have. So,
what about the snacking? Is the snacking an ADHD?
I mean, that kind of ties in with some impulse control, because sometimes you're all like, you are enjoying the sensation of eating whatever you're eating, and then you don't think about, oh, I'm not actually hungry, like these chips are just really good. So, or this bacon is really good. So
I wanted that bacon.
Yeah,
he described it perfectly, didn't he?
He did. And as somebody who really loves to cook, and I find cooking relaxing and stress relieving, maybe Spock was going for that, even if he can't fully smell everything. But I love that he was making up for lost time. I thought that was wonderful. So, Mike, I'm going to kick it over to you now. What are you thinking about Spock interacting with his human side in this episode?
Masterfully portrayed by Ethan Peck. Masterfully. That is the only word that came to mind while watching him with regular ears. When the camera pans over in the cold open and he sits up on the med bed, and Dr. Mbenga and Nurse Chapel and Captain Pike are there, and they're just like staring wide-eyed, like what's going to happen when he looks in the mirror, and he looks in the mirror, and you have that moment where, then the credits roll, right? I don't want to say it because it's just so fun, and I think viewers should watch it. But then throughout the episode, he's balancing his teachings. He was taught a way of life. He still retains the knowledge of his Vulcan teachings, but he doesn't have the skill. He doesn't have the muscle memory of managing all those emotions and how to repress them. So he's experiencing them all like a waterfall, and it's really well portrayed by Ethan Peck. And I think that the writers did a great job of kind of dancing around what it would be like if all of a sudden you theoretically knew the skill, but you lost the muscle, right? And they did a great job of showing us what it would be like for a half Vulcan human to be fully human. It is not something that Star Trek has always done well when they're trying to show duality in that kind of a way. I don't think that they did a great job with Tuvok with it, because whenever they do it, the Vulcans always appear to be still too emotionless, and they still appear to be maybe just the only emotion they experience is anger. And here it was completely flipped. Spock went through everything, and in a way I feel like I kind of went through a lot of those emotions with him, because he was experiencing them for the first time, and I love these characters and I love Spock. So of course, when we love people closely, whether they're characters or real people like Brandi or Ashley, then you feel with them. You have empathy and you empathize with what they are going through. And because of that, it really connected with me, and I think it'll really connect with a lot of viewers too.
Yeah, I agree. Mike, I thought that was a really great description of Spock's journey there, wrestling with his human side. I think that's great way to put that. Very good.
Sometimes I have smart things to say on the pod.
Usually, always, maybe.
Definitely.
Rarely.
Hardly. It's quite often, so don't even start.
Oh, thank you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Spock's Vulcan coaching. And the irony to me is that Spock is getting coached on being a Vulcan from a whole bunch of humans.
Not just humans, but the women.
The women.
Do you know why? Because women tend to be more observant about that sort of thing.
That's very true.
There's a lot that I really, really enjoyed in this, but I particularly enjoyed the Vulcan dialect coaching scene, where you've got a lineup of Uhura and Una and La'an and Ortegas, and they're all like talking with Spock like, this is how you talk, and they're like, no, that's too emotional, whatever, more robotic. and
La'an was definitely my favorite of that group.
Yeah. And then you get down the line to Ortegas. And so here's why that particular part made me laugh so hard is that whenever Melissa first got cast in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, people would ask her, first question, are you playing a Vulcan? Because she has like the crazy eyebrows and does like the eyebrow raising and stuff, just all the time, just in general. And they're like, you're playing a Vulcan, right? And of course, she's got that thick, dark hair as well. And she's like, no. I'm a human. But I love how she's like, you raise your eyebrow like this and no other muscles in your face. I'm like, I can't do that. That's hard. Anyway, I love that scene so much. It was really fun. What was your favorite Vulcan coaching scene? Go ahead, Mike.
I love that it was like kind of a montage of him like picking up how to kind of interact as a human and then learning how to be a Vulcan again, and the realization of what he's going to have to do. And you see the very human look on Spock's face when he realizes what he actually has to do to play the part of being Vulcan Spock. And you could just see like the utter, what have I gotten myself into mode of being. And that juxtaposed with the humor, love it. Love it. How could I not enjoy everything going on with this story? It's just, this is what TV is for.
Brandi, what about you?
Well, I'm going to go with the time he was spending with his mother when she was teaching him all the things that he had to do about making the special tea. And that's when Spock is starting to get an inkling of just how much his mother gave up and how much she has, for lack of a better word, suffered or endured just to be his mother, just to be Sarek's wife, just to be a human on Vulcan. And I loved that so much because I think that information has always been there, but it was him being human for a while that allowed him to truly process that on her level. And so that coaching where she is being very logical about the things that he has to do, and he's still responding emotionally because he's starting to realize, oh my word, my mom has been dealing with this my whole life, and I never said anything about it. And so that to me was one of the most beautiful coaching scenes, really, because it wasn't so much coaching in how to be a Vulcan, but it was coaching him on how to perform this ceremony as a Vulcan, even when he had all of these human emotions going on.
Yeah, I think for me, the whole, here, just pick up this teapot. And he's like, that's scalding hot. Like, and she just picks it up like it ain't no thing. And like, dang. Like, one, just from a very practical standpoint, do you have nerve endings in your hands anymore? Like, that was my question. But still, my goodness, like, everything that Amanda has endured, as you said, to be Spock's mother, to be Sarek's wife, to be a human among Vulcans, was just, the enormity of that really weighed heavy on me and was like a good dramatic balance to this episode that is full of comedy. So I thought that was especially good. What do we think about the tea ceremony? Mike, why don't you start us off?
The ceremony, so I love T'Pril's. Is it T'Pril's husband, T'Pring's dad, or is it like an aide or concubine of some sort?
That's definitely, I think they're married.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was definitely very henpecked. Savette. They only say his name once, and I wrote it down as soon as they said it. Savette.
This is why you're here, Ashley, because your attention detail. I'm just watching it like eating popcorn. Like, yes, please, nom nom nom, give it to me. I love this guy. Okay, so during the ceremony, when they all come in and Captain Pike has prepared a lovely feast of, traditional Vulcan offerings, and he offers Savet, this gentleman, a bite, and he eats it. He's like, nom nom nom, I like this. This is delicious. Not, of course, in the more Vulcan mannerism of, oh yes, I really enjoy this. That's delicious. And then he looks at T'Pring and he says, oh, no, actually, it's not good at all. You probably could have done better on something else. And the entire scene is peppered with that sort of dialogue from him, where he's all on board, he's loving everything, but the second T'Pring doesn't, he's right in line with her. And that is super interesting to me as a TV viewer, as someone who enjoys watching character dynamics play out, and as someone who is very aware of those stereotypical relationships and relationship dynamics that do exist, that some partners have. And I always think about, we watch TV to see ourselves. So I often wonder, when people complain about certain things, when people complain about characters, maybe they see too much of themselves. So I'm really curious to see what the overall takeaway from this guest character is going to be, from the overall Trek zeitgeist. Maybe it's because I'm a little petty and I want to see people get mad about it, or is it something else? I don't know. But I love the tea ceremony. Everything that's going on with it is hilarious. Of course, we'll talk about the creating awareness scene in a moment. But with the tea, the preparation and the delivery, and then Spock doing it and holding it all together in his face. He's just like, I can do this. He picks it up, and you can see in his face, he, practically screams. He turns around. It's perfect. He delivers the tea. He pours it, and you poured it. You can't pour it too fast.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
You can't pour it too fast, Ashley. You got to pour just the right amount, so you get the nice floral niceness. The pacing of that scene, the physical comedy that you mentioned. Yeah. Come on. I love this show. Oh my God.
Great stuff, Mike. Brandi, how about you, friend?
T'Pring is a pill.
Love that. Love that.
T'Pill? Should we call her
She's a T'Pill?
She's a T'Pill.
T'Pill. Yeah. I mean, she was aptly named. Yeah. When I look at people like her, I see a person who is deeply dissatisfied with something in themselves, and they are taking it out on everyone around them. And I have dealt with many a person like that in my life, and have usually cut said people out of my life for that very reason. It's like, I don't need that negativity. But she obviously wants everything just so. And the fact that her daughter is engaged to a half human, half Vulcan is just repulsive to her. But then there's the whole Sarek connection, and Sarek is a big deal. And so that's kind of where she tends to want to allow it to go on, because it's going to make her look good, this connection with Sarek. And she's unfortunately instilling this in her daughter as well. Because, okay, don't get me wrong, Gia Sandhu is brilliant as T'Pring. She's giving us levels to this character that we never had. I mean, in TOS, what do we get? One episode with T'Pring, and then we never see her or hear from her again. And getting this background is brilliant, and I appreciate that they are exploring this aspect of her character. But do I like T'Pring? Oh, hell no. No, I do not. I do not at all. And even when they have that, when T'Pring confronts Spock afterwards, and it's just like, you don't trust me? And I'm like, well, yeah! What cause have you given him for trusting you? I mean, you're constantly putting down his human side. What did you expect? So anyway, but during that tea ceremony, that was one of those things that the first time through, it just made me really feel really awkward and uncomfortable on behalf of Spock and T'Pring, actually, and whatever his name was, Daddy. Sorry,
Savette.
So what? Savette. I knew it wasn't Saval, because that's a guy back in Enterprise too. Anyway, sorry. Mine's all over the place. Spock. So, watching that interaction the first time around, it just made me really uncomfortable, and I couldn't wait for it to be over. The second time I was able to really just settle in because I knew what was going to happen, and so I was able to appreciate it. This is why I like to watch everything multiple times, because you cannot completely absorb everything a movie or a television episode or a song or a musical or anything really has to offer in just one sitting. You can't do it. There's so many levels, and that whole scene has so many levels, and it's brilliant to watch. Everybody involved, because there are a lot of moving parts in this, and everybody in this scene is pitch perfect for who they need to be in that scene. And it's again masterful, if I may borrow Mike's term. I think it's a masterful display for all of the characters, including Pike in the background with the expressions. Just so much fun, especially when he's starting to bring in more food again, and Spock is now admitting that he was human, and he just kind of detours. just that entire scene. Masterful.
Yeah, and the button on the nose being Savell asking for a doggy bag to go.
Yes. Savette's all like, may I please have some of these snackies to go? Please and thank you.
Because they is tasty.
Yeah. It was good. I haven't watched Trek nearly as long as either of you, but I did find that ceremony all really interesting and emblematic of certain things that we've seen in Vulcan culture up to this point. Vulcans sure as heck love their gongs, because you even got like the little mini one that Savette knocks in here during the what was the term they used? Clarity or
Awareness.
Thank you. The awareness. Oh, the line, T'Pring is great at providing awareness or creating awareness. I'm like, yeah, that's a nice way to say T'Pring is mean and says mean things directly because she can, and uses the excuse of, well, I'm Vulcan. I'm just being honest.
Well, what was super, like, it's not an excuse, right? But the way that she phrased it, being that Vulcans inherently seek to constantly improve themselves. So this is the opportunity for their loved ones to say what they need to improve upon. And it's delivered in that snarky Vulcan delivery that makes you feel less than. It makes you feel such utterly crappy. And the idea that Vulcans consistently repress their emotions, so they need to have these outlets, and that they hide behind these rituals and they hide behind all these little circumstances in order for them to like get it off their chest, essentially. And I don't know about you, Brandi, you tell me, do you think it was a cop-out, this ritual, this creating awareness bit, or is there some merit to it? Because I personally hate it.
It's all, I guess it all depends on how it's done. Because honestly, I was thinking about this while you were talking as well, creating awareness within myself and thinking about, has there ever been any time when someone has confronted you and said, you need to improve on this, where you have been like, oh my gosh, thank you. Can you ever recall reacting like that to someone giving you criticism, constructive or otherwise? I can't think of a single time where I was overjoyed that someone created that awareness.
Yeah. Usually its response is, my response would be a deep, thank you for sharing that information with me. Yes,
which is basically what T'Pring does, isn't it?
I don't know. I Personally, I'm not bothered by constructive feedback, but there's a difference between offering constructive feedback versus masking malice or cruelty under the guise of directness or not, quote, sugarcoating things. But no, those are two very different things, because constructive feedback is given with love and care. And this other stuff, it's not very loving. It's an opportunity to be a little bit bitchy, if I may.
It's on the delivery, isn't it?
Yes.
Whether it's just straight up being mean or whether it's constructive criticism, it's all in the delivery.
Yeah, for sure. So that all of that, I think, was really fascinating. And then you get the ultimate, like, alley-oop of Spock being like, oh, this couldn't ever be done by a human? Here, let me just pull off my ears and, dunk on you.
Okay. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
But you totally saw that inspiration from Star Trek 09, right? The Vulcan Science Academy scene?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I kept thinking about that when I was rewatching today, where they say, you've done so well in spite of your handicap. And he tells them basically to F off by saying, live long and prosper. When I rewatched Star Trek 2009 last year for my Star Trek class at Sigma University, taught by previous We Are Starfleet guest Dr. Amy H. Sturgis, when we watched that movie again, I was like, I had forgotten how much Zachary Quinto made that live long and prosper sound like F you. I just loved it. I thought it was great. And that's basically what we have here, is that same scenario. Only this time it's your future in-laws, and that's awkward. But also, like, just to Prill just saying mean crap right in front of Amanda's face, just because of your handicap, your human mother. And she's standing right there. The woman is standing right there, and she has shown you all graciousness when you have been a jerk the whole time. Yeah. Ugh.
And
yeah.
Spock standing up for his mom like that is, that's gonna touch a lot of hearts.
Yeah, for real. I really appreciated that.
One thing I forgot to mention that I really appreciated is Spock having to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
I was like, wow, we see bathrooms on the Enterprise for like the first time ever. Thank you. But also him screaming into, I don't know if it was a pillow or a towel. I couldn't quite tell, but just screaming all of his frustration out. And I'm like, ooh, I have been there.
Yeah.
I have been there.
I have felt that. And it's so refreshing to see Spock, of all people, also being there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel seen.
Yeah. Can we circle back just a little bit? I would like to touch on something I said earlier in our recording about one of the things I really loved in this episode is that you got to see women be women. And when I say that, what I mean is I am a lifelong science fiction fan, and the majority of the science fiction that I have watched, read, listened to, it's all been predominantly male-led or male-written, or the perspective is that of is from a male perspective. And I'm not saying any of that's bad, because I certainly enjoy a lot of that. And Star Trek, historically is one of those things. But what I really loved about this episode is I felt like this had some elements of a rom-com. And while I like rom-coms, I don't watch a ton of them, but a lot of rom-coms get dragged on as not a good dramatic story, or not a serious story, or whatever. I mean, there are how many Hallmark movies that have the exact same plot, and they all get millions of viewers every year. Somebody's not doing something right, apparently.
I'll tell you what that right thing is. Mm-hmm. The women always get top billing. Exactly.
And the thing here is you've got a woman director. One of the writers for this episode is a woman. And here I felt like you really got a woman's perspective in a sci-fi show. And you so rarely see that. It made me feel seen. Like, I felt like I have been in Chapel's position where I'm all like, I like this dude. I don't know how to, like, express that adequately, and my buddies are on either side of me. Just get over it and say something. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? Like, I felt that those scenes really well. But I've also been the girl on either side of the one girl saying, hey, you need to go talk to this dude. So I've been in both of those positions, and those scenes were so relatable to me, and I never expected to see them in a Star Trek episode. And I loved every single second of it. And it for me, it triggered something in me that I just didn't know that I wanted to see until I saw it. And for me, that was really empowering. So, Brandi, what do you think about that?
Everything that you thought.
Yeah.
Well, you already know my thing. Mike might not know this thing. He might, but I have this thing that I do whenever I'm watching anything that is typically a male-dominated genre, etc., like, superheroes and science fiction and even fantasy and stuff like that. And so, yeah, and Ashley, you know this, when She-Hulk happened, the television series She-Hulk happened. What I do is during the credits, I will start just shouting out every lady. I'll just go, written by a lady, directed by a lady, sound by a lady, cinematography by a lady. And I got tired. I'm just going to, and I during the She-Hulk credits, I just turned to my husband and said, I'm just going to say lady from now on. Lady! Lady! Because I didn't have time to keep saying, directed by, written by, because it was, that just kept coming. The ladies just kept coming. And so, whenever I see women getting it done, I physically say, women getting it done. Because it needs to be called out every time you see it, because it's still the minority.
For sure. And I definitely want to commend the folks behind the scenes of Star Trek, because they are really taking an active steps towards increasing the diversity in the writing and the production and directing, and all across the board. And I think for me, this episode really is a culmination of all of those things. And I really loved that. So, Mike, being the token male in the room today.
Yes.
Woot!
Yes. Tokenize me.
Yes. Hey, listen, most of my interests make me the only girl in the room, and I'm usually the youngest person too. So please, Mike, I would love to hear your thoughts on this as somebody from the outside.
It's super interesting, right? Because I get it. Like, I fully appreciate and understand that, the male genome has largely dominated a lot of these writing rooms, productions, sets. Completely understand. And what's really interesting is when we were discussing in our Discord group, just even briefly, about the episode and what we liked, what we didn't necessarily. There's a place for rom-coms. There's a place for these Hallmark movies, right? And yeah, all the marketing always goes to the women, but guys like this stuff too. But we like it for different reasons. We like it because it's kind of comfortable. It's kind of, and this isn't, don't take this negatively, but it's kind of low risk.
I was just going to say, you hit the nail on the head, because that is exactly what Hallmark does. They create a safe space.
Yeah.
You go into this knowing that it's going to end happy.
Yeah.
And that doesn't detract from the journey.
Exactly.
And the reason I know this is because my mother was addicted to Hallmark movies, and I was forced to watch a few of them, and then I became a believer. Take that for what it's worth. Sometimes I just need a safe space. Sometimes I just need to go into something knowing that everyone's going to live happily ever after. And plus, there are some hotties up in there, let me tell you. Whew. I'm getting hot just thinking about it.
Anyway, listen.
So sorry to hijack you, but yeah, you hit on it, and you didn't even realize you hit on it, but you're
did. Right. I didn't. All it takes is a smart woman to validate you, and you're off in the clouds.
I'm happy to be here for that.
Yes. It's low risk. It's a safe space, sure, but that also means that you can enjoy it for what it is, and you don't really have to think too hard about the implications or what did this mean or what did that mean. You know, you can just say, I experience these emotions. I have experienced these emotions with my partner, my wife. You know, I have experienced the joy, I have experienced the sadness, and I can relate to them. And that makes it a stronger episode. It makes it a stronger experience overall. Now, as a male, watching a, generally speaking, largely male-dominated science fiction show, there were things, you know, like we mentioned earlier in this episode about how, I would have liked to seen, you know, this, for example. And you came back and said, that's super interesting because I was looking at it from this perspective. Having these types of podcast conversations gives me an open perspective on what you saw and what I missed out of that. So now when I go back, I can watch it and say, here it is from the female perspective that Ashley and Brandi just talked about. That's super interesting. It's just a shift. You know, it's the IDIC, infinite diversity and infinite combinations, and diversity of thought, diversity of experience leads to a better, more holistic, more, dare I say it, utopian ideal that we're all striving for. So yeah, it's different. And listen, there's going to be a lot of guys online. There's going to be a lot of garbage ass men on Twitter who's going to tweet out these garbage ass opinions about how they feel it should have been done. But ignore them, please. They are pathetic and they are lonely.
I always ignore them.
Mm-hmm. Ain't got time for hating. So yeah, but for me, that was the biggest highlight of the episode, is getting to have that experience in a sci-fi show with these three characters that I love so much. I just think they're all just wonderful ladies, and I love this is what female friendship looks like. It's positive, it's affirming, it's not catty. My goodness, I have seen enough catty women on TV for a lifetime. I love this positivity and encouragement that these women have towards one another. I think that's really beautiful, and more of that, please and thank you.
I have a controversial opinion. Not controversial, maybe controversial for Mike, but I have long said, and no, just because you're a man, I have long said out loud to my husband, and he agrees, that the reason that women haven't taken over the world is because men keep us fighting amongst ourselves. They create competition. They sow discord among us by pitting us against each other in competition for affection, in competition for jobs, in competition for everything. And so we feel like we have to be an island and we can't have female friends that support us, and we can't, because they could end up getting what we want. That's not what women are. We have been taught this, and we need to unlearn it. We need to unlearn it, and we need to stop letting people outside of us pit us against each other. Because if we all join together, and I'm talking about anyone who identifies as a woman.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Regardless of what gender you were at birth, I don't care. If you identify as a woman, you are a woman to me. Let us bond together and build each other up instead of tearing each other down. And then we'll take over the world.
Preach.
There you go.
Yeah. And listen, if you're not a woman, that's okay. Step out of the way, make space, lift them up. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. I heard it said once, when you sit down at the table, look around and notice who isn't there, and then invite them to the table.
Well said.
I think Star Trek does and is continuing to do a good job of that in such a way that it doesn't feel performative. So.
Agree.
Yeah. All right. So I kind of want to close our discussion this evening on two questions. One, are the Canon Police going to come for this episode?
Yes. Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, they're screaming. I can feel it.
You hear the Canon police sirens running. Brandi, what do you think?
I don't care.
There's also that.
Fair.
Don't care.
Right. Fair. I think while I can see some canon concerns, and for me, it's not necessarily concerns, but I have questions about how that's going to work. But largely, I'm not bothered by it. I'm open to see what they do. So
I say trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust the process. You know, we're 5 episodes in. Presumably we have 5 more to go. This is not the last season. So we know we have a ballpark over in the TOS era of where these characters end up. And presumably there will be some great falling out between Spock and Chapel at some point. Maybe not this season, but the next or what have you. So let's stay the course. You know, even if you have your canon police hat on and it's screaming at you, I don't like it, that's fine. Just stay the course. Understand that this is years before. Finally,
during this last scene in the episode, the one thing I kept thinking of was Ross from Friends screaming, "We were on a break!" So, it sounds like Spock and T'Pring are on a break, and Chapel's all like, "I love you, I'm gonna kiss you." So, looks like stuff happened.
Oh, they totally humped. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
she tackled him, and that was just that. Clothes went flying, sex was happening. Yeah. That's going to make things a little awkward afterwards, but yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's absolutely what happened.
They're like, "What does this mean? Shut up."
No, I love that. What does this mean? I don't know. Shut up.
Definitely
and then she shuts him up.
Yeah, definitely a more feeling than thinking kind of thing happening there. Mike, how about you, buddy? What are your thoughts?
I mean, you know, T'Pring said it. She wanted to take a break. Now, you know, I've been in relationships where a woman has said that to me, and I've always been like, well, I have no idea what the hell that means. So awesome, you know, question mark. And then you just never know. And sometimes it gets resolved and sometimes it doesn't. And knowing how, you know, I am, and generally speaking, how most men are when they're confronted with a situation like that, their brains just kind of shut off and they're like, oh, okay, so you're gone forever now. I guess we're done. You know, break might mean something like, hey, I just need to take a step back and think about my feelings before we resume this, you know, immediate courtship, our fiance. I was going to say fiance ship, and then my brain was like, no, engagement. You know? So I can see from Spock's perspective, like, oh, okay, it's over. I guess we'll start from, you know, square one. Let me go tell Nurse Chapel all my hidden feelings and my conflicted emotions that I'm currently experiencing, you know, whereas T'Pring might, you know, come back next episode and literally, Ashley, you're right, be like, no, we were just on a break. I don't know, why would you go sleep with her? You know, at first I watched you kiss her on the view screen last season, and now she's coming in with your vitamins during our dinner. How are you going to tell me that nothing's going on between you two? You know, so 100%. There's a lot of trouble for Spock coming down the line, which perfectly lines up with where T'Pring and Spock are in TOS by Amok Time. Totally understandable. It makes all the logic in the world work for me. And yes, they banged.
Yeah.
Chapel and Spock. Oh yeah.
So Mike, final question. Do you ship it?
Oh, ship it. Come on. Jess Bush? Are you kidding me? Get it. Let's go. Let's do it. My man.
All right. Brandi, how about you? Do you ship it?
You know, I didn't at first, but as Jess Bush has grown on me immensely over the course of season 1 and of course now season 2, I'm here for it because, you know, I'm not shipping him and T'Pring. I never did. So yeah, I'm shipping them. I think that Ethan and Jess have great chemistry, but of course, as you said, Ashley, in a conversation we had, either of them could have chemistry with a rock. So Yeah, they're both very charismatic people on screen, and when you put them together, it's explosive, and I'm here for it.
For sure. As you said, Brandi, I didn't want to ship it because I knew it was going to end poorly, and yet I find myself being unable to help shipping it. So
that's the rom-com, though.
Yes,
we're all rooting for it. We're rooting for it. We want it to be.
And so while I'm not necessarily 100% on board with the idea of this perhaps being a soft TOS reboot, if it is, I don't want to pring. Go away. Gia Sandhu, you are wonderful. You are doing an amazing performance as T'Pring, and I love your performance as T'Pring, but no. Spock, he hot for Chapel. I'm sorry.
This is why arranged marriages are a bad idea. Mm-hmm. That's really archaic, especially for such an advanced civilization as the Vulcans. What the hell were you thinking?
It was logical, Brandi. That's what they were thinking.
I mean, listen, Gia Sandhu is very logical, in my opinion.
That's true. That is true. Ethan Peck, also logical.
I'd take Ethan Peck in a hot minute. Sorry, Dave. You know how it is. You know how it is. He's my, I have my real husband whom I love and adore, and he's amazing. And then I have my fantasy husbands, but I always tell Dave he's my favorite husband. And he always responds with, "You're my favorite wife."
Fair. All very reasonable. All right, guys. Any final thoughts that y'all want to touch on before we close out tonight? Mike, why don't you start?
Final thoughts. Great episode, full of a ton of fun things. What's interesting when we talk about canon and the canon police, and Brandi, you mentioned earlier about the nasal inhibitors. You know that this production crew behind Strange New Worlds loves and adores Star Trek just the way we do. So when they make these changes, when they are adding character development, when they are changing certain visuals or certain, technological aspects, because we are, now 57 years in the future from when TOS aired, it makes sense. And I feel good about the direction the series is taking. If we do go to a full soft reboot, I am leaning towards, you know what? Take me on this journey with you because it's working. This episode, the medical bay, all the sounds, all the iconic whistles and the little beeps and the buttons, and you have, the record tapes, and you have the computers, and you have the big computer screen sitting on a desk. Like the visual aspect alone should tell you that this show loves Star Trek just as much as we do.
Agree. Brandi, any final thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, I realized the one thing that we didn't talk about was Chapel's pursuit of this Vulcan fellowship throughout the entire episode.
Yeah, please tell me your thoughts.
And yeah, I actually liked that. I thought it was funny because they were all talking about having downtime, and Chapel's doing her personal log about how she's spending her downtime preparing for this interview, and I'm like, that is not the definition of downtime. What is downtime to you? What? I don't understand. And then when she has this interview with the Vulcan in charge, whose name I don't even know if was mentioned, and I don't care. He was a jerk.
Total jerk.
Because Vulcans can be a jerk. Vulcans can really be jerks.
Oh, a human applying to my academy? Oh.
Yes, and you didn't regurgitate everything exactly how I wanted you to, and therefore I'm not really interested in having you. And then she starts talking about her field work. Oh, I'll look at it. Okay, thanks, bye. And she's dealing with that while she's dealing with trying to get Spock back to his old self, and does something absolutely amazing by going into this pocket of space where she can converse with the Kirkovians and explain what's going on, etc. And then she comes back and she tells this guy that. And that's after he's rejected her. And then he finds this all very interesting. And she's like, sorry, you're not ready for me. Just bye.
Yeah. You get that. You get like that little justice porn kind of thing out of it. You're like, ooh, yeah, I showed you.
Yeah. Yeah. I really appreciated that aspect of hers as well, because she's obviously extremely intelligent. She's obviously a pioneer in her field. They have been making that clear since episode 1. And I appreciate them going back to that and reminding us that, yeah, she's brilliant. And she probably is one of the few people who could have possibly made it onto Enterprise simply because she's just that good. Mm-hmm. Even if she hadn't known Mbenga, even if she hadn't known anyone else, why wouldn't they take her on? She is amazing. So I appreciate them highlighting that. And honestly, I appreciated this episode on so many levels. There's so much going on, and it brought me a lot of feelings and thoughts, obviously, that I am now regurgitating on top of all of you. And I'm sure that I have thoughts that I haven't even regurgitated yet, so they'll come up later. One last thing that really just made me laugh is when T'Pil said that Spock should have a more resilient bladder. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Okay, some of us have overactive kidneys, okay? And we cannot control how quickly that bladder gets filled up. It's not the bladder's fault, bitch. Why don't you try seeing how the other half... I just went off on her in my brain.
I love that.
So that was one of those things where I'm like, oh, hell no. You did not just say that.
You know, I think for me, just to wrap, I think Chapel's storyline in this episode, it very much follows like, you know, that rom-com kind of structure that we talked about. But another thing that kind of leans into that rom-com structure is at the end, she is confident in herself. She's not looking for anyone else's approval. She's like, maybe you're not ready for me. And seeing her grow into that confidence is really good. I don't think she would have went to see Spock afterwards.
That's true.
If she hadn't gotten over herself in that scene where she's talking with the Kirkovians. It's like, no, you need to give this to me because not just because he's my friend, but because I care about him. And that's what we do. That's how humans do. And or our species, and, you know, even though Spock's not human, you didn't put him back how he was supposed to be. And so I just thought that was really powerful, and it was really cool to see her come into her own that way. That's my final thoughts. Mike, did you want to add anything on to what Brandi mentioned, or you good?
Brandi summed it up really well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, anything I could add would really just be regurgitating.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, I think that's going to be a wrap for today on Star Trek Strange New Worlds, episode 205, Charades. So all that remains is for me to say thank you to our amazing guest, the brilliant and beautiful Brandi Jackola. Brandi, thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. This was an absolute blast, and I loved every second of it.
Me too, buddy. Brandi, could you tell our listeners where they can connect with you online, or any projects or anything you've got going on that you want to share with them?
Absolutely. I have podcasts. I love Star Trek, so I do podcasts. So I have 3 podcasts. 2 of them are kind of in a holding pattern at the moment, but that's due to some massive life changes I have been through in the past year. Anyway, Boldly Go, as mentioned before, Star Trek Strange New Worlds podcast. That is female-fronted, and my podcasting partner, Suzanne, unfortunately is no longer able to continue with the podcast for health reasons. And that's devastating because I love her dearly, and we started this together and defied people who said we couldn't have it all women one, and just went our own way and did it anyway. Ha ha ha! That's what you do when somebody tells you no. You find another way to do it. So yeah, I'm kind of in the market for a co-host for that. So ladies, people identifying as ladies, if you think you might want a podcast with me, hit me up on Twitter at Brandywine12. That's Brandi with an I, and the 12 is a number. And you can slide into my DMs or tweet at me. And yeah, right now I've had a lot of guests because it's been necessary. I didn't have a lot of notice when I found out that Suzanne was unable to continue. And so I'm just getting on as many not men voices as I can. Not straight men voices. There might be a gay man in there. So I'm counting him as an honorary woman. So there's that. There's also the Vedic Assembly, which is about Deep Space Nine. Guess what? How that works, and What the Future Holds, which is a Star Trek Discovery podcast. And then I also do a live show with my friend Dan Gunther. He's brilliant. I love him. He's amazing. And he's so gracious to let me go live with him every Saturday and talk about whatever newest episode of Star Trek is happening. So you can find that on YouTube at his channel, which is Kurt Retz Productions, which is Star Trek spelled backwards. And and then I do a podcast with my husband called the Dark Corner Podcast, where we talk about a lot of nerdy stuff with from a darker, maybe sort of gothy perspective sometimes. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Very good, very good. Mike, where can the folks at home connect with you?
Well, if folks want to connect with me, they can find our Star Trek podcast here at Starfleet Pod. If they want to connect with me, you can follow me at MikeSlamer _ on Instagram and on Twitter.
Very good.
Feel free to hit me with any of your Star Trek thoughts and opinions. If you agreed with the things that I say, I'd love to hear from you. If you've disagreed, you can take a transporter beam into the sun.
Well then. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, if you want to connect with me, hit me up on the tweets at The Nerdy Blogger. You can like my Facebook page, facebook.com/TheNerdyBlogger. You can read my words on my blog, nerdyblogging.wordpress.com. You can also read my words on fangirlish.com, where I write about film and television, mostly Star Trek. I am the Trekspert in residence. So in addition to hearing me on We Are Starfleet, you can also read my weekly episode reviews there. You can hear my words being read on the Sci-Fi 5 podcast, which is 5 minutes of science fiction history 5 days a week. And you can also hit me up on Mastodon, which I'm still trying to figure out, but I'm there at The Nerdy Blogger at mastodon.social. So, thank you for joining us for another episode. And remember, we are part of the We Made This podcast network. Please subscribe to We Are Starfleet and give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. If you really want to help our network out, please consider supporting us on Patreon. And you can do that if you go to patreon.com/WeMadeThis. Star Trek Strange New Worlds is not all we're discussing, so we'll give you a taste of what you might have missed on the network in just a moment. Until next time, hit it.
If I asked you to think about Japanese movies, what do you picture? Anime, no doubt. You think of the beautifully rendered works of Studio Ghibli. Maybe you picture Godzilla and his coterie of city-ravaging kaiju. Perhaps you see Toshido Mifune wandering the countryside and armed with only his wit and his blade. And I know you're trying not to think about the pale-faced ghost with long hair and creepy noises. And maybe you're a fan of the exploitation type of cinema, where schoolgirls wield chainsaws and machine guns with abandon. My name's Perry Constantine. I'm an author and a teacher, and back when I was in college, I had the exact same image of Japanese films as you did. It was my love and interest in these movies that led me to move to Japan. Now, almost 20 years later, I'm still here, and teaching classes about Japanese film. What I've learned in that time is that Japanese movies are so much more diverse than just anime or kaiju or samurai. Sure, those movies are fun, but by exploring the wide range of Japanese cinema, there's so much we can learn about Japanese history, society, and culture. That's why I started Japan on Film. In each episode, I'm joined by a different guest to help me spotlight just some of these excellent movies. We'll be watching the good, the bad, the popular, and the bizarre. Come along with us on a journey into the wide, wonderful, and sometimes very weird world of Japanese cinema. Listen to the Japan on Film podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and visit our website, japanonfilm.com.